Hello everybody and welcome back to Good Morning Sri Lanka with me Vasam, and of course in the studio we are with Arundhati, who you are familiar with back in 2013. Now in the new year we're talking about basically about how would things to consider when putting your toddler into a school. So the earlier segment we're just talking a little bit about the definitions with nursery, kindergarten, preschool and Montessori. So now we're going to just talk a little bit about what are the factors to actually consider before putting your toddler into a school. So Arundhati, over to you.
Well, I think this is one of the second most important decision a parent makes in choosing a school in life, right? The first one is of course having a child, then of course choosing
yes,
school.
Of course.
Yes. So what happens here is number one is you need to consider the environment. It's very important in the school, right? Whether it's spacious, whether it's clean, whether it's safe.
Okay.
Because it's a toddler you're putting into the school, and when you won't be around.
Okay, when you say it like that, it sounds really scary.
It is, because you
are you actually saying there are institutions out there which you need to watch out for?
No, not in that sense. But then what I said, it is because you are leaving your child in someone else's supervision, so you need to cover all the edges. As I said, you cannot leave any stones unturned, right? This is your child, right? And of course you need to figure out, like, of course for the question you asked, when you're hunting for schools or shopping for schools, this should be started like well ahead. You can't just decide over 3 months or 6 months and just put your child into the school, right? This should be done well ahead.
Okay,
so
when you mean well ahead, what are we talking about here?
At least a year and a half before.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, because this needs to fit into your expectations as well, right, for your child.
I see.
It's not what's just available. As I said, this is a very important decision you make for your child. So you need to start well ahead. So you need to check in what schools are available. Of course, word of mouth. You need to ask other parents about how the child was benefited by going into those schools, right? And you need to have your checklist, right? Then narrow it down, and of course you need to visit these schools. They have open days here, right? They have so many open days where the parents can go and see what is available. And of course you need to always visit schools when the school is functioning, so you will know personally what is happening there.
I see. And for the intake in January, we are a little late, right?
Yes.
We are a little late.
Yeah.
So, but when I did have a conversation with you just before we commenced the show, you did say that there are a lot of parents, even at this point, suddenly looking for schools to put their kids in. So that is the market we're addressing right now. Listen carefully.
Yes. That is a rush job.
Yeah.
Because
so any advice to them?
Well, if it's a toddler young as 2.5, I think I'll wait for the next session, at least in August.
Okay.
Because it's not only about just putting them into a school, they need to be happy as well.
Okay.
So you need to at least give it some time. And of course, let's be practical, right? We have all these options, but you need to consider the financial factor of the schooling, and of course convenience.
I see.
As well.
Convenience. All right. And in terms of curriculum?
Well, the curriculum, yes, you really need to look into it, because the curriculum should not always be only academic. It should be a mixture, right? Because it's a child who's going to school. So there should be art, there should be music, there should be more extra activities. So the child is not pushed into academics, right? And of course you need to find out how much of involvement sometimes the school might want from you as well, because some school demand a lot of involvement from the parents. Maybe it not be possible for you.
I see. And so if for parents out there and they suddenly walk into a school, say even at an open day, or maybe some of the late going parents, once they go in there, what kind of questions should they be prepared with?
you need to do your homework well ahead, right? Because as I said, when you identify a few schools, right, you need to have your own checklist. So for example, you have ABC, which you have set your mind in. These are the 3 schools I'm going to send my child into, right? So from that you narrow the list down and do your homework about the school. You can't just go blindly and ask them, okay, how many children are here, how many classrooms do you have? You should be well prepared with these options, right? So the number one question from me will be, how much of individual attention can you give my child? It's very important, right? How many children are in the classroom? Because if it's overpacked, nothing's going to happen. And how often does your teacher changes? Because it's a huge question for a toddler, because toddlers do not like too many changes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So if the class teacher is changing very often due to managemental issues,
I suppose at that age also they get attached to their teachers.
it's more than attachment, because they resist a lot of change, right? Right? Because, for example, see, now you went to school in Montessori, right? So
that's what we called it.
Yeah.
I don't know if even that's the correct term anymore.
The term anymore, yes. So you wouldn't want your class teacher changing all the time, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because you are used to a certain pattern of environment. So that's something you should consider. Plus, of course, you need to know who the teachers are, whether they are friendly, whether they are kind to your child, whether you have that kind of friendly environment where the child will love going to school.
I see. And the other thing is, like, when it comes to when you usually try and put a child into one of these primary schools when they are 6 years old, one thing you continuously find is that parents find it really hard to put their kids in sometimes. It's a huge battle that they fight.
Yes.
Well, how is it when it comes to preschool and nursery? Is it as tough?
Well, unfortunately, no, because there's so many available. Options are huge, because I think...
are you saying there are more preschools and nurseries than these regular colleges out there? Primary schools?
Yeah, huge. I mean, huge amount available, because I think that's not a subject which I'm entitled to touch on, because I think the standards should be a bit more raised. So loads of places available with different names, because they're taking it far too easy. A child that young should just go into a place till they mark time, as you said, to get into the esteemed colleges. Right?
I see.
But here what we are forgetting is, this is the crucial age of a child. It's 2.5 years to 5. And if you let it go, and if you're not particular about the school you're choosing, you're going to miss out that whole natural process of the child.
I see. So and in terms of choosing the school, do you need to really look into the kind of child's personality as well?
Yes, why not? Because say, if you're an outgoing person, right, if you're an outgoing personality, right, I cannot go as a mother and put you into a small dingy room and say, okay, this is your classroom, you go, right? You need to have a place to run around. You need to have extra curriculum, right? So the mother should know exactly how to identify your needs.
I see. Oh, wow.
It's very complicated.
But it is complicated. I'm sure it's a very tough one to look for. Well, I guess we've covered most of the questions we had for you, Arundhati, with regard to this topic. Any final advice for the parents out there?
Well, as I said, it's a huge decision. So take time, don't rush into it, and make the right one.
Okay, great. So thank you very much for joining us this morning. A very happy new year to you, and I hope the rest of the months ahead will be as great for you as it was for you yesterday.
Yes, thank you.
And I hope you get more and more Kiriba coming your way. So thank you very much, Arundhati. Don't go away. We'll be right back on Morning.